And yeah, so we have learned that there are three factors, okay, which make the demand curve, the AD curve, has such relationship. Okay, so yeah, so right now it's not like microeconomics anymore. So in microeconomics, the relationship between the two axes, they are quite straightforward. Okay, but here it is more like an indirect effect which makes such relationship. Okay, so once again we have three effects which make such relationship, and very quickly, so we have wealth effect. So let's say if the price level of all the goods and services, they are getting lower, okay, the price level is getting lower, so you will have bigger purchasing power, so at the end you can spend more, right? And that's why you will have a downward sloping AD curve because of the change in price level. Okay, and for the second one, it's about interest rate. Yeah, interest rate. So if you have more wealth, okay, you are more able to save your money into the bank. Okay, so at the end, the bank has more reserve to lend out the money. So the interest rate is gonna get lower. Okay, so when it's getting lower, okay, so that's the thing, right? So if that's the case, when the interest rate is getting lower, is very good for consumption and investment, right? Okay, so which makes the real output go up again. Okay, and the third one about exchange rate, or what you can call that international trade effect, right? So because right now, let's say if the price level is getting lower, okay, the interest rate, is going to get lower. Okay, so to the foreign investors, to them, their return from the investments will be lower as well, because the interest rate is getting lower. Okay, so it's becoming less attractive, right? And you will see, and that's why they are not going to invest into your country anymore. So they don't need your currency anymore. Okay, so the demand for your currency is going to get lower. So if that's the case, right, your currency is going to be depreciated. All right, and we all know that in general, when your currency is getting depreciated, the export is going to get higher. Okay, the output, right, for export is going to get higher because it's more competitive. So at the end, you will see when the price level is getting down, so the real output is going to go up. Okay, so they look like three individual points, right? But at the end, you can see they are actually all connected. Okay, so when it comes to this level of academics, we always need to find connections among the points. All right, and you can see they are actually connected. Those 3 points, right? Okay, yeah, because we know this, and that's why, right? We know why the interest rate effect will also create such relationship, and because we know the interest rate effect, that's why we know that the third one, the exchange rate effect, can create such relationship as well, right? So you just have to get yourself the connection among the 3 points. All right. So when you are trying to make your notes, try to create connections among the 3 points. Okay. Yeah, which will give you a better understanding. Okay. Yeah. So that's the first part of AD. All right. This is what we have done last week. Okay. So we know the relationship of the downward sloping AD curve. And then we talk about the shift in the AD curve, right? We know that, okay, when we talk about this, we are talking about, when the price level is changing, then the output will move along, okay, the curve. But here, if there's anything other than the change in price level, okay, any factor that will change, the behavior of consumption from different parties, let's say C or I or G or NX, then the AD curve will shift. Okay, right? And last week we were up to here. Okay, so so you guys were very good, by finishing all the items here. So basically, they are all the items, okay, that will affect the components of the AD. So which are C, I, G, and NX. Okay, and I think we were up to somewhere around here. Yeah. So let's quickly finish the rest of the points. Okay. So if there's anything happen to all these factors here, then your AD will shift. Okay. Right. Okay. So I'm just gonna quickly go through the rest of them. All right. So here this one, the income. So if there's any change in income of trading partner, which component will be affected? So very quickly, come on, someone answer the question. So if there's a change, annex. Okay, thank you, Andric. Thank you. So yeah, annex obviously, but anyone who can explain like why when the income of trading partner is changing, the annex of our country will be affected? What does it mean? Anyone? Hello. Hmm. Okay, give me a second. Okay, right. Demand increases in that country, so they may. Yes, Andric, very good, very good. So that is the answer. Okay, so let's say when the income of your trading partner is getting higher, so they'll be more able to import more goods from your country. Okay, so if you just reverse that to your country, which means that the exports in your country is getting higher. So if that's the case, then your NX will go up. All right. So if that's the case, AD will shift to the right. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Right. So that's one. Okay. But what about this? What is this? Household indebtedness. What does it mean? Anyone who can quickly explain it? Come on. So what does it mean when you just look at the words? Household indebtedness. The people have more debts, they are less likely to consume. Oh, okay, Kirsty. Oh yeah, like mortgage, right? The things that you owe to someone. Okay, you owe to a money lender, you owe to the bank. So Kirsty, yeah, your answer is very correct. Okay, so you can just think about this, right? When you as a household, when you are owing so much to some people, okay, so in the future, more likely you are not going to spend much more, right? Because you have to take care of your debts, right? So in the future, in the near future, you are not going to spend much more, right? So that's why if let's say if the household indebtedness is getting higher, so you know that the AD is going to be decreasing, right? Because you have to repay the loan that you have with you, all right? So you are not going to spend much money in the future, okay? So yeah, right. So that will be affecting which component? Which one? C. Okay, thank you, Cheryl. Right, C. Right, it's that simple. Okay, and well, let's go to the next one. So the next one here, well, we all know they are basically the same. Okay, but here we focus on household, and here we focus on firms. So this one here, which one will be affected? Very quickly, the level of corporate indebtedness, which right. So it's just the focus. Okay, it's just the focus being changed. Okay, so here obviously, if let's say the firm, they are owing so much more to the bank, so it'll be less likely that they are going to spend on investment. Okay, so that will be increased. I will be decreased. So AD will shift to the left. Okay, right. So very quickly, let's take a look of this. If there is a change in value of home currency, which one will be affected? NX. Okay, yeah, very obviously. Okay, this is what we have learned so far in GCSE. When you know that, okay, when there is an appreciation or depreciation in your home currency, okay, yeah, it will makes your export more or less competitive. Okay, it depends on the movement in your currency. Okay, yeah, so it's all about your international trade. Okay, so very good. But what about trade protection? Yeah, if there's a change in the level of trade protection, which one will be affected? Yeah, also annex. Okay, yeah. So think about this, right? When US they are, well, possibly G. Well, can you explain that, Andrew? Oh, tariffs. Okay, tariffs. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, indirectly, right? So if you are the U.S. government and you are imposing tariffs to China, okay. So if you think about China, then every time when we are exporting goods, it becomes more expensive. Okay, so the competitiveness of the net export for China will be decreased. Okay, yeah. So if that's the case, China NX is going to go down, and you will see for China, AD will shift to the left because of such thing going on. Okay, but indirectly, if you think about in the U.S. when they are imposing tariff, they are going to receive the tax revenue because tariff is just a tax. Okay, so if that's the case, they may indirectly increase the government spending, but that will be a little bit indirect because you will never know. Okay, it really depends on the government policy. Okay, so I would say that is more like an indirect change that you will see. But usually in the exam they will just show you something very obvious. Okay, so don't worry too much about this. Okay, so yes, okay, so thank you guys. So here I have put the answers for all of the points. Okay, so you can see I have a line here. All right. So if you talk about different factors, okay, these components will be directly affected. Okay, and beyond the line, okay, these are the factors that will be indirectly affected. Okay, so they are just for your reference. All right, but yeah, you do have to know, you do have to use the factors here when you are trying to explain why the AD curve shifts. Okay, yeah, so they are all the factors that you have to know when you are explaining the shift of the AD curve. Okay, all right. So yeah, so that's all for the shift of AD curve, right? So far we have learned the movement of AD curve, okay, along the curve, along that downward sloping curve, and we have also learned the shift of AD curve. Okay, so far any questions, any difficulties? Right, they seem kind of straightforward, right? Yeah. So when we talk about AD, straightforward. It's just a little bit more complicated when it comes to the relationship of the two axes, but they are still quite straightforward, right? Yeah. So yes, okay, AD is very straightforward. Okay, but when it comes to AS, it is going to be very tricky. Okay, and I would say this part here. Okay, I would say this AS part could be the most difficult section in the whole macroeconomics because it's so vague. It's so vague. And well, let's see. Let's see how it goes. Hopefully, at the end of the day, you are not going to say WTF, right? Well, I mean, well, maybe you are going to say WTF, but that will be Yeah, well, that's fine. It's not that difficult. Yeah, hopefully you're not gonna say the other, meaning of that. You know, you know what I'm trying to say. All right. Okay. Right. Okay. AD, but no AS. All right. So now we are going to AS. So AS, right here. Okay, this AS is so tricky, not because it's a very difficult topic. Okay, it's because there are so many different schools of thoughts. They argue about how the AS should be, and that's why the economists, they are always debating over this topic. And you will see there's no such thing as completely right or wrong in this topic. There are just arguments. All right. And when it comes to arguments, if you're not flexible enough, then you will see you find this very difficult. Okay, because if you are the guy with so much logical thinking, then sometimes it will not make sense, because you always thought, yeah, there should be a correct answer, but there's no such thing as a correct answer. All right, there are always discussions, and they are still discussing even now, right, in 2020. Okay, so yes, you just have to bear this in mind. All right, this is it's just an idea. All right, you will never see an absolute correct answer over this topic. Okay, so be flexible in this concept here. All right, okay, so let's take a look of this. Right, so when we talk about aggregate supply, okay, the definition is so similar to aggregate demand. Okay, we just have to change the red highlighted word to produced. Okay, so basically you can see it's just all planned national output being produced. Okay, all the goods and services. Okay, all the output being produced at different price. All right, at different price level. Yeah, in this case, in macroeconomics. Okay, and in IB, we are going to focus on two theories, and that is the reason why I wanted you to watch that video. All right, we talked about that yeah, like a week ago, right, or so. Okay, so that video is all about the history of economics, because along the history you see there are so many schools of thoughts. Okay, and you see that economics, well, many times people who develop economics, they are actually philosophers. Okay, and they have different ideas, they have different beliefs about human beings and also the society, and that's why they come up with different ideas towards what kind of economics, what kind of economy a country should have or should go towards. Okay, so that's why you have so many different ideas. But you see here, uh, in this curriculum, we don't need you to really dig deep, okay, into different schools of thoughts. Okay, yeah, we're just kind of introducing, all right, you know, the names of the thoughts. Okay, but at the same time, you will see if you can understand more, the rationale, the idea or the beliefs behind different schools of thoughts, it may help you to understand the concepts that we are going to learn. Okay, so here, right, the details of different schools of thoughts, they are not in the IB curriculum, but it's always good if you can perform some of the most valuable IB learner profile values. Okay, like inquiry. Okay, yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna leave this to you. If you want to understand or to see more about different schools of thoughts in here, we have two. Then yeah, just go to YouTube and try to find some very short videos which talk about classical economics, or what we call Keynesian economics. Okay, so if you are able to watch some of those videos, then you might get a way better idea when we go to the concepts. Okay. Yeah, so that is just an option. All right, that is just an option for you. Okay, yeah. So we are going to study two schools of thoughts. Okay, on this topic, on the aggregate supply. All right, and remember this. Okay, when you are working on your question, when the question is trying to ask you to draw to and explain aggregate demand and supply. Okay, do not use both schools of thoughts together. Okay, you just have to pick one. Okay, you just have to pick one. Right, either one of them will give you the correct answer. Okay, it doesn't really matter. Right, like what I said, they are just ideas. They're just ideas. Okay, yeah. Right. So that's why you just have to pick one and explain your way out. Okay, do not put both of them together in one question. Okay, because that'll be wrong. That'll be wrong. Okay, because they are actually arguing, right, with each other. Okay, so you just have to pick one and then you explain. Okay, right? All right. So yeah, because when we use different schools of thoughts, they will have different diagrams. Okay, so you just have to pick one. At the end, you are going to explain the same thing. Okay, yeah, that's it. Okay, well you will see. You will see. All right. So let's take a look of this. Okay, so let's take a look of what the monetaries said. Okay, about AS, or you can call that as a new classical model. Okay, so let's take a look of the new classical model. Okay, so once again, model, right? We are trying to oversimplify something in the real world. So this is what we call a model. All right, yeah. So that's why along the way you will see sometimes the concept could be quite vague. Okay, or they don't really make sense, because we are just trying to use a model to explain the situations. All right, we're trying to oversimplify something. Okay, yeah. All right, so let's go to the new classical model. Right, so here yeah, if you are not the kind of inquiry based person, yeah, that we expect, then here I'm just going to quickly use a 3 pointers to give you a quick look, okay, about monetarism. Okay, monetarism. Yeah, it's just for your reference. It's just for your reference. You don't have to really put this in your exam. Okay, but yeah, it will give you more understanding when you are looking at the concepts. So you get it. So okay, so that's why they have such concept here under monetarism. Okay, so very quickly, monetarism, those people who believe in monetarism, they believe that money supply is very important, okay, to a stable economic growth. Okay, so they always care about money supply, and that's why they call themselves monetarism. Okay, that's it. Okay, you don't have to know more than that right now. Okay, yep, and they believe that if we, as a government, we are able to increase money supply bit by bit, okay, gradually, then we will be able to achieve a stable, economic growth, or what we call an optimal economic growth. Okay, so those people, they believe that government intervention is a very bad thing. Is a very bad thing. Okay, to the economic objectives. Okay, because they believe that government intervention will bring more, uh, like bring more trouble than benefits. Okay, so they always believe free market, okay, without government intervention is the best thing to achieve an optimal economic objective. Okay, yeah. So yeah, so laissez-faire, they always emphasize on laissez-faire, right? Yeah, laissez-faire, which is in French it means I forgot. Let it be. Okay, let it be. All right. So you just have to remember the song from the Beatles. Okay, let it be. All right. So you just let the market goes. Okay. Yeah. You don't need government intervention. So that is their idea. To achieve the best result. Okay. And because they care so much about money supply, so they believe that no person should be able to change, to make changes in, let's say, monetary policies, because money supply, right? They focus on money supply. So yeah, they believe we should just put some fixed rules in monetary policy, okay? Yeah, without really interventing the monetary policy, just like what they believe in the first point, okay? Yeah, there should be no government intervention so that they can achieve the best result. Okay. Yeah. And yeah, so yeah, like I said, they don't like government intervention, and that's why fiscal policies, okay, they are always bad policies. Okay, they don't want any government intervention towards the AD. Okay, they don't want any a sudden demand changed from such policies. Okay, so yeah, that's why the less the government intervention, the better the economy will become. So this is their belief. Okay. So this is their belief. Okay. Right. So yeah, that's the background of monetarism. Okay, that's the background of monetarism. It's just for your reference. Right. Okay. And yeah, and when we study new classical model, all right, about AS, okay, we are going to divide it into two stages. Right. So first of all, we have a short run, and then we have a long run. Okay. Yep. And you will see there is a huge difference when the AS is in the short run and when it is in the long run. Okay. All right. So we just have to remember this. Okay. So for a new classical model, or you can call that neo classical model, right? It's the same, right? Yeah, we will divide AS curve into short run and long run. Okay. And we have some assumption. Okay. So you just have to bear this in mind, right? The consumption, no, the assumption is in the short run, wages and factor prices are sticky. So what that means is, so in the short run, in a very short period of time, okay, the wages and other factor prices, they're so difficult to change. They're very difficult to change, and that's why they are called sticky price, right? Okay, so this is our assumption. Okay, this is our assumption, right? In a short period of time, they are very unlikely to be altered. Okay, yeah, when we talk about wages and factor prices. Okay, so that's in the short run. So we will see. We will see. Okay, so here, take a look at this. So in the short run, think about this. Wages and factor prices, they are very sticky. But why? Is there any reason? Yeah, like why in the short run, when the price level is changing, but usually the wages, they are very sticky. Why is that? Why they're not able to change the wages in the short run? So let's say, let me give you a scenario. So let's say right now, the price level is increasing. So if you use logical thinking, if the price level is increasing, so the wages should go up as well, right? But in the short run, they are very sticky. Any reasons? Contract, yeah, Ian, yeah, that is very good. Contract, anything, uh, yeah, anything else. Oh, okay, yeah, okay, yeah, yeah. So Ryan, you are actually pointing out, the short run situation. Okay, it takes time for the people, for the wages to be adjusted. But what are the reasons why in the short run, in the short period of time, they always stay the same? Why sometimes we cannot decrease the wages? Oh, okay, 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 okay. Oh, okay. Oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah. Well, you see, in the short run, there are so many different reasons. Yeah. Let's say the trade unions. right? That could be one of the factors too. Okay, so you see here. All right, so take a look at this. Take a look at this. So contract, right? Contract, that could be one of the reasons. Okay, so when the price level is increasing, okay, but you see in the short period of time, you don't have to change the wages. Okay, the wages are going to be sticky because you are still in the contract. So you don't have to do anything, right? You don't have to adjust anything. Okay, and on the other hand, you can see sometimes minimum wages. Okay, right? Even though sometimes you will see the price level, they may be decreasing. Okay, but we cannot change the price because of the minimum wages that we have, the legislation that we have, and sometimes it takes time for the legislation to be adjusted. Okay, so in the very short period of time, we are not able to change such factors. Okay, so that's why we have an assumption in the neoclassical model. So in the short run, wages and factor prices, they are always sticky. Okay, yeah, and if you think about the trade union, the protests and everything, okay, you will see, okay, because you have some influences from the trade union. So let's say, okay, when the price level is changing, they are always going to go out and do protests. Okay, and yeah, and try to say, hey, we have to keep the wages at this level, and that's why they are also some influences. Okay, which make this happen. All right. Okay, and yeah, when we look at the last point here, okay, yep, um, you know, even sometimes when the price level is changing, let's say is decreasing, you don't really want to reduce the wages like at once because it will affect the motivation of the workers. So the worker morale might be affected because of that. So there's so many reasons, okay, to explain why in the short run, okay, in a very short period of time, okay, wages and factor prices, they are always sticky. Okay, yeah, and yeah, it's a very conceptual idea. All right, and yeah, you see in the short run, this is what you will see. Okay, this is what they assume. So yeah, in the short run, very short period of time, okay, the wages and the factors and the factor prices, they are sticky. So if that's the case, you will see this, right? Think about this. Okay, in here, this diagram here, you will see the price level. Okay, let's say it is increasing, right? And the real output will go up along with this. That's why you will see an upward sloping curve in the short run aggregate supply. Okay, but logically, think about this. When the price level is getting higher, right? Okay, so to the firms, it should be a very bad idea. Okay, because when the price level is getting higher, which means that when you think about this logically, okay, all the costs will become more expensive as well. Okay, but because of this assumption here, we assume in the short run, the wages and the factor prices, they are very sticky. So it's very difficult for them to change, to adjust in the short run. So if that's the case, if the price level is going up and the wages or the other costs, they stay the same, then we are going to expect the firms, they are more able to earn higher profit. Okay? Yep. You guys get it? Okay? I I, 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 I couldn't hear. I couldn't hear. Can you say it again? Whoa, Andric, your mic is not very functional. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. I couldn't really hear. It's like you are underwater. Yeah, it feels like you are inside a submarine, and I. try to type the question. Hey, the yellow submarine, yeah, the Beatles again. Okay. Prices we stick if they involve other firms. Well, okay. So here, Andrew, we mainly focus on wages. Okay, we mainly focus on wages. Okay, so the idea here is in the short period of time. So remember this. This is the main idea of the short run. In the very short period of time, okay, people, they don't realize the change in price level yet. Okay, people, they it takes time for people in general to realize the change in price level. So in a very short period of time, they will just stick with the current price that they are using. So that's the idea of short run. Okay, and if you are able to use this idea, then things will make sense. Okay, because in a short period of time, well, the general workers, they don't realize. Yeah, they don't. Well, maybe you can use this concept too. When the price level is increasing, the general workers, they don't realize that the price level has been increased, and that's why they will have the same behavior as what they were doing so far. All right. But when you give it more time, when we are in the long run, then finally those workers, they realize, oh, now, yes, because of some changes in the economy, okay, we realize the price level actually changed. So they would demand more things, and yeah, they would demand for more changes. All right. So yeah, 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 yeah. You can assume that. Okay, the labor will react slower. Okay, or you can say it takes time for people to realize the change in price level. Okay, yeah, because yeah, it's changing every day, but people, they don't realize it until they see a very obvious change. Okay, so then they will make adjustment. Okay, so that's the main idea about short run and a long run. And here, these are just some examples, like why. So when it comes to wages, why in the short run it could be very sticky, and they are some very powerful uh, explanations or reasons that you can use. Okay, why wages, they are very sticky in the short run. Okay, yeah, all right. So yeah, if that's the case, then once again, right, then you will see when we know that in the short run, those factors, the costs, they will not increase along with the increase in the price level, because it takes time for people to realize that. So for the firms in the short run, they are going to earn a higher profit. Okay, because of that, right? Okay, yeah. So they are going to produce more, right? So if that's the case, then you will see the relationship, okay, in this curve. So when the price level is getting higher, then you will see the real output that they are willing to produce will be higher as well, okay, because of this reason, right? So you will see there it will be a movement, okay, going up along the SRAS curve, okay, because of such idea. All right. Yeah, I know it is a kind of vague idea, but yeah, if you are able to make good use of the major idea that I just said, then it should be all right for you. So for this part here, for this part on, please, okay, I'm pretty sure it takes time for every one of you to digest the contents here. All right. So, well, I would say, your homework for this week, okay, is to go back to what we have learned this part and try to digest it. Okay, all right. Yeah, when we come to this level, of academics, it's very difficult for you to understand completely the whole concept at once. Okay, you have to go back and try to digest, try to think more. Okay, try to use more examples, try to ask yourself more questions. okay, and see if that really, if those thinking really apply into the concept here. All right, okay. So please, after we finish this, go back and try to digest it. Okay, yeah, and that's why you see this relationship here. Okay, yeah. So that's the relationship you can see from this upward sloping curve. Okay, for short run, Okay, AS, right? So when it comes to the short run, it's going to be an upward sloping curve. All right. So and then yeah. So now we can talk about the shift in the short run AS curve. Okay. So there's only one way where the AS curve, the short run, once again, is the short run AS curve will shift. Okay. Yeah. So when there is a change in cost of production, okay, when there is a direct change in cost of production from the firms, then the AS curve will be shifted. Okay, so any factors which will affect the cost of production, which will directly affect the cost of production. Any factors? Any factors which will directly affect cost of production of general firms? Raw material tax, right? So raw material, talking about the resource price. Okay, that's good. Taxes, right? When there's a higher tax or lower tax, that will increase your cost of production as well. Yeah, subsidy, interest rate, right? Okay, so that is good. Okay, so that is in general, this is what we will see. Increase in minimum wages. Well, Ray, if that's the case, well, that is more, I would say, in the gray area, because when it comes to legislation, usually it really takes time. Okay, but in general, I would say yes, it will also affect the cost of production if you are talking about a change in minimum wages. Okay, yeah, so that's also cool, right? Oh, the rent. Okay, so the rent. Yeah. So once again, rent is that is also belonging to the change in resource prices. Okay. So yes, right. That is good. That is good. So take a look at this. Right. So you gave me this already. Yeah, the resource prices. Okay, like the rents. Yeah, you just gave me the raw materials. Right. Blah blah blah. And yeah, change in taxes. Okay, the subsidies, which will directly affecting the cost of production as well. And you see here, the fourth one. Okay, any shocks. Okay, yeah, there are so many different examples of shocks. Okay, like war, financial crisis, natural disasters. Yeah, when you think about this, they are all directly affecting your cost of production. When there is a natural disaster, you are going to experience a huge increase in the cost of production, right? Okay, yeah. Uh, yes, that is very good. Yeah, that is one very good idea, right? Coronavirus. That's it. Or maybe epidemic outbreak. Yeah, you can put one more epidemic output, another outbreak. Okay, that is good. That is good. Okay, so anything happen in the factors here, which will give you a shift in the SRAS curve. Okay, all right. So at the end, you will see some shift. All right, like this. Yeah, in the screen here, right? The same logic we have, just like what we have learned in the microeconomics. When it shifts to the left, it means yeah, that the AS decreases, and when it shifts to the right, the AS increases. Okay, but we focus on SRAS in the short run. Okay, this will only happen in the short run. Okay, so in the short run, you will see something very similar to what we have learned in microeconomics when it comes to the diagram. Okay, the shape of the diagram. All right. Okay. 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 So let's move on. Okay. So now let's talk about equilibrium, right? Equilibrium. I'm pretty sure yeah. I'm pretty sure you understand what this is already. Okay, so when you put the AD curve and the short run AS curve together, okay, you'll be able to find the short run equilibrium. Okay, so in the short run, if I want to find the equilibrium of the real output or the real GDP in an economy, I just have to find the intersection point, okay, between SRAS and AD. All right, yeah. So this Y here, yeah, because we have known that usually when it comes to real output, or you can say real GDP, we use Y, okay, to express such idea. All right, so maybe y1 when it's changing, it goes to y2, blah 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 blah. Okay, so this one here, this y here, this is the equilibrium that we observe. Okay, yeah, when we put SRAS and AD together. So this is the short run equilibrium point that we observe. Okay, that's the output we observe when we put everything together in the short run. Okay, all right. So nothing difficult in this part here, right? As long as you understand, the rationale of SRAS curve, then you'll be fine, all right? And everything about AD curve. So here, look at the question. So I don't need you to draw it, okay? You just have to tell me, right? When you have to draw like a short run equilibrium diagram, okay? So show the effects of increasing consumer confidence in the short run equilibrium. So if that is the question, how are you going to draw your diagram, your aggregate demand and supply diagram in the short run? So what will happen from the change here? What will happen from the change here? So if there is an increasing consumer confidence, so what will happen to your ADAS curve in the short run? Any ideas? So if there's a higher consumer confidence, yeah, the demand will shift to the right. Okay, right, right. Okay, so yeah, so this is the initial diagram. Okay, yeah, and because now we see that the consumer confidence is getting higher, so we are going to expect more AD. Okay, yep. So you will see it will go just like this. Okay, so we will say, okay, the short run equilibrium is changing from this point here to this point. Okay, so a short run equilibrium has been changed. Okay, because now we see there is an increasing consumer confidence. Okay, and we know that when consumer confidence is increased, then C will increase. Okay, one of the components for AD will increase, and which will shift the AD curve, okay, to AD2 from AD1. All right. Uh, yeah, you can say that. Okay, you can say that. Okay, the current GDP. Okay, the current planned GDP. Okay, yeah, because now we are looking at the aggregate supply and demand diagram. Okay, but yeah, you have the right idea. Okay, so this is the current real output that you know in the society, the people they will plan to have. Okay, right? So you will see it. So this is what we call a short run equilibrium. Okay, the short run equilibrium can change right from one point to another. It depends on whether the AD is changing or the AS is changing. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. So so before we end, today's lesson, let's go to this very tricky concept here. Okay, so this concept here, so now we are in the long run aggregate supply. So this is what you can see in the short run. So in the short run, it's nothing special, just like what you always see in the micro economic diagram. Okay, but in the long run, okay, there is a supply curve for the long run. Okay, and you cannot think about this supply curve logically. Okay, because it has its philosophy, okay, behind this idea here. Okay, so take a look at this. So when it comes to the long run aggregate supply, it's going to look like this, right? It doesn't make any sense at all. Okay, yeah, it's a vertical LRAS curve. But the idea here is, okay, so listen to this. The idea in the long run, okay, what neoclassical economists they believe is, in the long run, the economy will get to a point where they will achieve potential output. Okay, yeah. So well, this is what they are trying to say. Eventually, the economy will go to where it is trying to go. Okay, so that's why, okay, in the long run, yeah, there's only one output that an economy is going, and that is the potential output. Okay, and when you think about the business cycle that you just learned, okay, potential output, that is, the line, okay, the upward sloping linear curve, right, which represents the long growth trend, okay, the long run growth trend. Okay, so yeah, so this is the idea. So when you look at this long run aggregate supply curve, it says in the long run, eventually it will go to the very optimal position. And it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter what price level is in the long run. Okay, so yeah, so here we focus on the output here. Okay, yeah, we put this aside. We put the price level, the factor here aside. So this is the idea of long run aggregate supply. Okay, so in the long run, we will achieve this very nice potential output, no matter what. Okay, no matter what kind of price level that we are experiencing. Okay, so that's the idea of long run aggregate supply. Right? It's just like when I don't know if you have heard about this from any teachers. The teachers, sometimes they said, yeah, it's okay. Yeah, right now you're failing, but eventually you'll get it. You'll get it. Don't worry, you'll get it. Okay, so this is, yeah. If you treat a new classical model as a person, so that is what kind of person he or she is. Okay, so you can see he is a more optimistic kind of guy. Okay, so this is what they're trying to say. So eventually you will get there. You will get there. You will get to the potential output. And well, we know that when we are in the potential output, we will reach full employment. Okay, yeah, right. So here it's good if you can go back to the business cycle, right? Okay, to do some revision, all right? But this is the idea. Okay, think about new classical model as a very optimistic guy. Okay, so this is the idea, right? We don't like to do any government intervention. Okay, just let it flow. Just let it flow. Okay, and in the long run, you will be fine. Okay, just like what the Chinese people said, 船到橋頭自然直. Okay, so that is the idea. That's the idea of neoclassical economics. Okay, yeah, right. Just an idea. All right. Okay, so yeah, so we are going to put ARAS and SRAS together very soon. Okay, and you will see a different picture, right? And yeah, when we do that, and you will see why we have such an idea, why we have this 船到橋頭自然直, this kind of idea. Okay, yeah. And before we go, so yeah, here is the summary, okay, of long run aggregate supply. Okay, so yeah, so you will only see a long run and short run aggregate supply curve when it comes to the idea of monetarist model, okay, or neoclassical model. All right, okay. So when we are reaching that point, when we are reaching the output in LRAS, we know that we are in the optimal level of output. So which means that we will have full employment. Okay, yeah, right. Yeah, okay. So once again, we don't look at what is happening to the price level in the long run. So the idea is that when it comes to a long run, okay, well, you will get there. You will get to the very nice point of output. It doesn't really matter what kind of price level that you have. Okay, so that is the idea. All right, so I'm going to stop it here, and yeah. So the homework for you this week is try to go back to this section here, what we have just learned, and digest, digest it, digest it a little bit. Okay, yeah, and when we come back on a Thursday, we will keep going. Okay, so if you feel kind of confused right now, please go back and do some revision. Try to digest the idea. Okay, otherwise, yeah, it's going to stack. Okay, the difficulties are going to stack. All right. Okay. So yeah. So that's all for today. So if there's any questions, yeah, feel free to ask. Okay, through WhatsApp, email, right? It's okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. Just ask me question. Right? It's gonna get more tricky when we move along. Okay. So yeah. So that's all for today. All right. And I'll see you guys on yeah, some of you on Wednesday and some of you on Thursday. Okay. Yeah. So that's all. All right. Okay. Bye, guys.